Happy birthday.
Why?
Let's talk about the death of Dumbledore.
And that's going to be the intro.
Well, welcome back, Potter fans, to the Show of Requirement, the Harry Potter podcast that we love and adore and have been doing for a while now. It's really Oklahoman. For a while now.
We've been doing this for a while now, guys.
Well, I am your main host for tonight, Abby Tooley. I'm without glasses because I lost them about 4 weeks ago, but I'm about to get new ones, so that's exciting. I'm joined by my co-hosts, David Gonzalez, Spencer Price, and Cole Harris, and it is a special day today because 26 years ago today, the Spencer Price was born.
That's me.
Happy birthday,
Spencer.
Happy birthday. That joke we do, except it's actually my birthday.
Yeah, it's actually your birthday, but happy birthday, Spencer.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, very light topic today. Would be what I want for my birthday. That should be easy to do. So
we'll go on record stating that I'm about a week frozen. I missed what happened because everybody was frozen. Maybe I was frozen.
You were frozen.
That's funny. I was saying we'll put it on record that I'm a week older than Spencer.
Yeah, I was going to say your birthday was a week ago, so
yeah,
we can't neglect both. We have 2 March babies.
We have 2 March babies, yeah.
And 2 July babies.
Hey. No?
I was born in August.
August, you're right.
You're right.
Actually, you know what? I'm still a little mad about this morning, David.
What?
Abby, you'll get a kick out of this. No, nothing that you did. You were just there.
Oh.
So Luke does a weird thing every time someone's having a birthday. As we all know.
Does.
Luke, Star Wars historian, great friend of the pod. He sent nothing but 2 numbers. He just sent 27. No context. No happy birthday. He just put 27. And I was like, it's so funny. But I'm not even 27.
No.
I'm 26. And he goes, you're a 98.
Well, you know, Luke was
like,
probably...
yes, this was known.
And you know that Luke was probably kicking himself, too. It's just like, gosh, dang it. Like, it's just so upset.
So, listener, that's what you need to do now. When your friend's birthday happens, don't send them happy birthday. Don't send Don't send anything. Just send just the age that they're turning. 22.
The age they're turning next year.
Oh yeah, the age they're turning the next year.
Did you think I was a year older than Hudson? Anyway, I digress.
Well, friends, we are getting into the happiest section of this entire book. Now, for those of you who have read this book, you know that is false. This is the saddest section in the world. We will get there. But first of all, we're going to start with chapter 25. The seer overheard. Now, friends, this chapter, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember. So I'm going to need your help. Let's see. So start of this chapter, we get Harry going out with Ginny Weasley, which I listened to the last podcast episode that you all recorded while I was absent, and I missed the whole getting together of Harry and Ginny. I almost said Harry and Hermione. Oh,
awkward.
I know. I'm gonna get ejected.
The audacity. The good news is, Abby,
David's talking, but I can't hear.
Yeah, I had myself muted because I was eating animal crackers, but I said, I think it was just a Freudian slip by Abby because that's the true romance, Harry and Hermione.
Nope. It's not a love
More like a true bromance.
The good news is, Abby, I read all of it today.
Yes. I read it, like 2 weeks ago, so I'm trying to remember exactly what happened.
I read it like a year
unrelated.
ago.
I'm so sick of Hoopla, the app. Because I had put Half-Blood Prince on hold, and I think I had it on hold for 5 weeks straight. And I tried to check out Deathly Hallows a few days ago because prepping, I was like, well, I'm gonna be waiting forever, and it took 3 days. So anyway, to prepare for this episode, I had to resort to some piracy.
But Spencer, here's the reason why there's a hold on the Half-Blood Prince. It's because everyone is reading this book with us, and our millions of listeners.
Yeah,
and so
millions of listeners, guys. I need to listen to it too, guys.
Yeah, you need to.
You can wait.
We're just gonna speak that into existence. Like, hey, hold off.
But the good and the good news is, though, I remember a lot of what we read today. So the seer overheard is just like, hey, we're trucking through the book. It's great. And now we need to dead sprint towards the finale. And it's going to begin right now. So like, Harry's dating Ginny. Great. 2 pages. Moving on.
And then you get Hermione trying to figure out who the Half-Blood Prince is. And
a little bit, but like just enough before we actually find out who the Half-Blood Prince is. Mm-hmm. And then, because it's like short, quick chapters, and Harry's dead sprinting toward everything that's going on all the time, like he's in the Maze Runner or something.
Yeah.
Like he's going to Dumbledore, and then Trelawney gets thrown out of the room of requirement. Mm-hmm. Just in case we needed that one more hint that Malfoy was in the room of requirement.
Honestly, I feel like that was the only purpose to this part of the chapter, was the whole Trelawney trying to hide her alcohol and like trying to get into the room of requirement. Very interesting, but I don't know that it had a lot of purpose.
No, I don't think it did have much purpose. Other than, I guess, also saying that Snape was the one that heard the memory. Like, Harry had to find that out from someone that wasn't Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And then they leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not a lot in this. There's not a lot that happens in this chapter. But the cave, man.
The cave.
The caveman.
Chapter 26. Oh, the caveman. I didn't mean to do that. So chapter 26, we get Harry and Dumbledore trying to find another Horcrux. They enter into this cave that's filled with booby trap after booby trap by Voldemort.
You said trap.
This is maybe a prelude for the next book, but the inconsistency of Voldemort's protections of his Horcruxes are massive.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I wonder if it's like, oh, he created this one kind of in the middle, or he's like, I got to get better at protecting these things because I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe this is one of his first ones that he premeditated where he would put the locket and all these things. Because you'd think he'd just wear the ring, and you'd think he'd just wear the locket.
But I guess if he wore the ring,
no, because it's his. Because it's him.
Oh, if it's his, the curse.
Yeah. Well, he can't be cursed because he's part of Slytherin's line.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's because
twice cursed ring, Cole.
I wonder if it's because he, like, if let's say somebody would kill him and found out that he made Horcruxes, and they would all be on him. They just destroy it one by one. So he's just like, I'm going to spread these out so they won't. But I think I do agree. Like, are you saying that this Horcrux was like one of his most legit, like in terms of protection, and the other ones weren't?
It was.
I agree with you on that.
Highly protected in a lot of like kind of crude ways.
Devious.
I don't want to be that person, but I feel like JK like had this whole one all written out. But then when she started writing Deathly Hallows, she's like, I can't come up with this amount of stuff, and we don't have enough
or it's
time
gonna take too long. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
for every Horcrux. So like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
one's in Gringotts. Oh, the real Slytherin, and then like, the real Slytherin's locket makes sense. And like the diary's almost misplaced. Like somehow Lucius gets it, but we don't really get that. I guess the ring is in. Just he left it at the house or something. Didn't really specify where the ring was. I think I don't know.
It's almost
it was left at the house.
He's trying to figure out where he's
at the house. Kretcher or Mundungus Fletcher took it, sold it to Umbridge, or Umbridge took it.
That's the locket.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ring.
Oh, the ring? Oh, I have no idea.
I think Dumbledore actually had to get through protections to get the ring, but he didn't specify what they were.
What they were, yeah.
Hufflepuff Cup was in the Gringotts, and the Diadem was in the Room of Requirement, which is actually kind of smart, but nothing specifically protected about it. He just threw it in there.
Yeah. But this one, like, it starts out with them having to physically injure themselves and put blood on the wall so that they can get in. And then obviously the famous Dumbledore having to drink this terrible liquid that incapacitates him and makes him just so sad. I feel so bad every time I read it. And then you get the why did I forget the word?
Inferi.
Inferi, yes.
Which the movie doesn't. The book is way more terrifying.
Oh yeah. I mean, the movie was kind of creepy too, but like. Yeah,
they didn't hold back with the movie, but
no.
Also the drinking part has been memed, but it's still funny. The meme that I usually see is like when you're on a cruise and you get the all drinks pass, but you only have 1 day left, and they're like, you have to keep drinking, like you said, remember?
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Been there.
I know something is for everyone. Listeners, do you. It's just a funny meme. A funny meme on a really traumatic part of Harry Potter.
Yeah. I thought it was the part that was most heartbreaking was the fact that Dumbledore was either reliving or re-experiencing his worst moment, his saddest moment of Ariana dying and all of that, or which Harry experiencing that carries over into the next book.
Oh, for sure.
Like it's vital and crucial to Aberforth and his appearance in the Deathly Hallows, which is great. Again, it causes me to ask questions about it. It causes me to ask questions about just, especially after we saw the Circus of Dumbledore, and they seem to be on good terms, where everything went wrong for us to get the Aberforth in the Deathly Hallows.
Right.
I'll admit that there's some inconsistencies there.
I appreciate two specific things that just they didn't have time to do in the movie. I don't feel like if they cut them for time or they didn't film them at all. Is that Dumbledore swims like a young man, which I think would make if Jude Law does get to come back and play Dumbledore again, I would really like to see that. Even if he's playing a much older Dumbledore, but he carries himself like a young man. Because not Gambon. Gambon was great. But I couldn't see Richard Harris doing this entire sequence.
No.
Like,
and see, that's
what switch to a stunt double. I don't know.
Well, I'm even thinking about just from the Dumbledores that we were presented with, like, not even just this physical sequence, but when I think of, like, Richard Harris's Dumbledore, I think of, like, more whimsical and, like, lighthearted, still very, like, intimidating in some ways, but more of the, like, fun kind of nutty professor. Whereas I think when we get Michael Gambon's Dumbledore towards the end, like I feel like it fits better with the book because he always felt more serious to me. And maybe that's just because he came in during the more serious books and like movies. But I feel like it would be weird for me to see Richard Harris even play this Dumbledore in the darker books, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Gambon had his silly moments too.
He did. Yes.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
That's it.
But he didn't feel as whimsical to me as Richard Harris did.
We talked about when he passed, Michael Gambon in real life is maybe more whimsical than his Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But yes, that was one part, and then the other part was that Harry apparated them back.
Yes.
Wild. Yeah. Harry always does the best magic on the fly, though.
I think that's, he's good in a crisis. He works, he works really well under pressure. And then he learns from that experience and then is able to use it later.
And like the genius, I think we're really seeing how smart Harry has become because he's, he immediately figures out Voldemort's trick for the water. Mm-hmm. He doesn't spend 20 more minutes trying to figure it out. He immediately knows, oh, this is what it is. And then later in the book, spoiler alert, but he's like, Hagrid is carrying him back to the castle, and he knows he's gone because he's like, that's the reason I was not frozen anymore, was because like the caster of the spell is dead. Mm-hmm. It's just very like smart.
Yeah.
The cave, man. The
have
cave.
Any more thoughts on the cave, chapter 26? Or do we want to get into chapter 27?
I think the only thing left. Yeah, the only thing left to add is, I'm not worried, Harry. I have you.
No.
Right on.
No. I don't want to read chapter 27 or even talk about it. Can we skip it?
No, we can't. We got to do our due diligence.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 27, The Lightning Struck Tower. So Dumbledore and Harry make it back to Hogsmeade. And I honestly forgot that they made it to Hogsmeade because I really thought that they just made it straight back to the tower like the movie shows. But that, we forget about... why am I forgetting everybody's name? What's her name? The owner of the pub?
Madame Rosmerta.
Madame Rosmerta. She is the one who's under the Imperious Curse and sees them. Well, she was under the Imperious Curse earlier in the book, but...
I mean, I might be under the Imperious Curse. You never know.
Mm-hmm. True.
David and I decided that I understand why they didn't include it in the movie because I just don't think it made that much of an impact on the greater story.
No,
not
it didn't really matter.
It just, I feel like it was one of those things that they were like, the editors were like, yeah, JK, just whatever you say at this point in the series. But like maybe in an earlier thing, they'd be like, test audiences don't feel like this actually adds anything here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need
when
it.
When was the last time we actually saw Madame Rosmerta in the movie? Was it Prisoner of Azkaban?
I think it was Prisoner of Azkaban.
Then you bring her in. It didn't make sense to bring her in at this when audiences are just going to go, wait, who's that? Oh, yeah.
But I also think like of the book release too. Like, I don't think it adds too much to the book. I think it's just more like, and they Imperious as Rosmerta. It was this whole conspiracy. And I'm like, was it? And they're like, oh, they used the coins that the DA used. And I'm like, why?
It frustrates me that all of Malfoy's ideas for like how to do things seem to come from what Harry and his friends did. Earlier on. And
like the best part of this.
He is a moocher.
That is true.
Where's the part? Oh, I loved the one thing that Malfoy did figure out was the vanishing cabinet.
That's true.
And it was a master stroke, because in the last book was when Fred and George stuffed him into a vanishing cabinet. So yeah, I guess it must not have, but it must not have been in the room of requirement. Draco moved the vanishing cabinet into the room of requirement to mend it.
So what you're saying is it's because of Fred and George that Dumbledore dies.
No.
It is not their fault. They did a hilarious joke.
Let's hear him out.
They did a hilarious joke that almost killed a man.
He did. They did kind of point him in the right direction.
Fair enough. I just like when Montague said that he was trapped in limbo between Hogwarts and Morgan and Burke's. Like he was in like a realm between realms or dimensional thing, and he had to apparate out of that like in between space to escape, and he almost died.
Which is wild.
Wild. They didn't really explain that before. They're just like, oh, it took Montague like 3 weeks to find him again. That was funny. Not that he almost died.
Well, Harry and Dumbledore make it to the tower, and Harry's going to go get help from Professor Snape. But as he's on his way, Dumbledore uses a freezing charm on Harry while he's underneath his invisibility cloak, and then Malfoy appears, confronting Dumbledore, not realizing that Harry's there. This whole scene, well, first of all, reading the book, I'm imagining Tom Felton and Michael Gambon. Like, Tom Felton does such a good Draco.
Absolutely.
Especially in this scene. It's
and Jim Dale's is like not that different from Tom Felton. And it's weird because his voice for Draco is so distinct and his voice for Dumbledore is so distinct that it feels like there's two different people like reading the book.
Man.
It's great.
That is wild.
But Draco and Dumbledore talk for like, it feels like 20 pages.
That is true. They talk for a long time. And I think Dumbledore just always tries to see the best in his students.
He's trying so hard.
For years. And, you know, reminding Draco, you're not a killer. Like, you tried all these ways of... Draco's like, well, I did this, and I did this, and I almost killed this person. And Dumbledore's like, well, you did everything but actually kill them. You know, you couldn't do it yourself. You're not a killer. And I just you can see Draco just starting to like crumble because Dumbledore's getting through to him.
Well, Dumbledore said like some of those attempts, like it was so feeble that I felt like your heart wasn't even in it.
Yeah.
He also didn't like, I like this part where he says, I appreciate the difficulty of your position. Why else do you think I have not confronted you before now? Because I knew that if you would have been murdered, if Lord Voldemort realized that I suspected you. I did not dare speak to you of the mission with which I knew you had been entrusted in case he used legitimacy against you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he offers help to him. I also... It's just fun. I like the way Dumbledore talks to the Death Eaters, and Gambon does this great too. Where he's like, "Oh, you brought Electo too, charming. Thinking little jokes will help you on your deathbed? Jokes? No, these are manners." And like he talks to Greyback like. So politely.
Pleased to see me? No, I cannot say that I am.
I also like
I'm not a little disgusted.
Yeah. I love how, or it's interesting and very telling that even the Draco is telling Dumbledore, listen, he's a double agent. He's working for Voldemort. He's tried to help me this entire time. And Dumbledore is just like, I just can't seem to convince you, but I still believe that Snape is trustworthy. If you don't know what happens at the end of Deathly Hallows, like you're looking at Dumbledore and being like, wow, he's really lost it.
Something that I was really paying attention to and I read this time was trying to figure out what the expression on Snape's face was when he went to kill Dumbledore.
I was looking at that too.
Yeah, he said Snape gazed for a moment at Dumbledore and there was revulsion and hatred etched in the harsh lines of his face. Severus, please. Snape raised his wand and pointed it directly at Dumbledore. And I think, that look of revulsion and hatred, I don't necessarily think was what the type of hatred and revulsion that like Harry thinks that he has for Dumbledore. But I think it's Dumbledore so angry, or Snape's so angry that Dumbledore asked him to do this. And is, it's something that he really didn't want to do. And
yeah,
hates,
like
almost kind of hates Dumbledore for asking him to do it.
Because of how much he respects. And friends is maybe a strong word for it, but not true either.
Yeah.
And he has that look again in the next chapter, but we'll get there. Wild stuff. But I actually really like the movie because they talk about how Hagrid overheard them and he repeats what they said. And he's like, when Snape is saying that, like, has it ever occurred to you that I don't want to do this anymore? And Dumbledore shrugs it off. And like the book and the movie are trying to make you think that he's saying that he is saying that he doesn't want to do it anymore, like the double agent and stuff. But he's also saying like he doesn't want to kill Dumbledore too. And I like the movie though, because you actually overhear Snape talking to Dumbledore before him and Harry leave. And you have Alan Rickman saying it with Michael Gambon. That's just always going to carry more weight. Has it ever crossed your brilliant mind that I don't want to do this anymore?
Well, chapter 28, Flight of the Prince. And let me tell you, this image of Snape in the book is not...
He's looking like Jafar from Aladdin.
He does look like Jafar from Aladdin. He's got those eyebrows, though.
And the goatee.
Yep.
You know who that looks like, though? That's Adam Driver is what that is.
Oh,
Gasp.
So I forgot how big of like a fight there was during this whole sequence.
It's the first battle of Hogwarts is what it is.
Yeah. And I forgot that everybody, like all of Harry's friends, were in on it, like at different parts of the castle.
It's Order of the Phoenix, DA, well, the main DA people, not Ernie Macmillan. At least he's trying to jump to action. Just too late.
Also, they're using a lot of Petrificus Totalis within these chapters, which I think is just a funny spell to end up using in the middle of a fight. But
I mean, it puts them out of the fight pretty quick.
It does.
Like it's more effective than Stupefy. I like that they're mixing it up because the movie's like Stupefy.
I did like that the movie added Bellatrix to this whole sequence.
I thought she was there in the book until I read it again.
Because I felt like that made the moment on the tower more impactful because she knew of the promise Snape had made, the unbreakable vow, and was just waiting to see if he would do it. And then he did.
I also think, yes, I agree with that 100%. Also, just when you have Helena Bonham Carter on the payroll,
you gotta use her.
You gotta use her for all it's worth.
They really did not use her very much in this movie. Or in the movie, but she also wasn't in the book as much either, but that's fair.
Barely at all. I mean, in the one sequence.
Yeah.
I was noticing a lot of impedimenta.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, Amicus and Electo just can't take a curse. They can't stay down. It's really annoying.
Oh, Ernie McMillan is in this.
Yeah, he gets a little nod.
Also, Harry just getting up again and again after Snape keeps trying. Like, him and Snape going at each other was also wild to me. But also reminds me that I feel like Snape could have killed Harry at any moment, if he were really...
Yeah, that's
trying.
What I thought too. If he was really trying, he would have just taken him out.
But also recognizing that they were under... If he were actually on Voldemort's side, they were under orders to not kill Harry because that was Voldemort's. But still, Snape made sure not to injure Harry too much either.
At the same time, I think if Voldemort was like, someone killed Harry for him, he'd be like, oh no, whatever will I do?
Oh no.
I'm bombed. Another TikTok reference. Anyway, he would probably kill the person who killed Harry for him, but that's it. For Voldemort, that's not that much of a reaction. I think like Snape used that to save Harry in this moment.
Also, the lines, "You dare use my own spells against me, Potter. It was I who invented them, I, the half-blood prince. And you turn my inventions on me like your filthy father, would you? I don't think so. No." I was like, dang.
I have to say Alan Rickman is just better.
Yep.
He says less words and carries more weight.
Mm-hmm. He's a man of few words.
Alan Rickman Snape is a man. Words. Book Snape is a man of many words, and none of them are good.
Yeah.
But I do like in this that he's like, you're never gonna get me. He's like, you never figured out the nonverbal spells.
Yep.
He's still teaching Harry.
I know.
He's still teaching.
And then Hagrid coming in. You all right, Harry? You all right? Speak to me, Harry. It'll take more than that to finish me.
We should put out your house. The charm's Aquamenti. Knew it was something like that.
Oh, and then he says nothing Dumbledore won't be able to make right. I will say...
There's so many lines at the last few pages of this chapter that just get you.
I will say I cry, to this day, every time I watch the movie and they all find Dumbledore. Like, they're all around him at the bottom of the tower, and then they all raise their wands to get rid of it. I cry like a baby every time.
I do too. I cry like a baby reading this.
That's true.
And then I cry the last chapter too. Like, there's just so many lines. There's still no preparation for seeing him here, spread-eagled, broken, the greatest wizard Harry had ever or would ever meet.
Yeah.
Harry reached out, straightened the half-moon spectacles on the crooked nose, and wiped a trickle of blood from the mouth with his own sleeve. Then he gazed down at the wise-old face and tried to absorb the enormous and incomprehensible truth that never again would Dumbledore speak to him, never again could he help.
Which is actually true, but
Dumbledore is a turd. You can never get rid of that guy. I also like, I was saying this before you came on, Abby, to start recording. The RAB reveal is such a good, like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a good sequel setup.
Yeah, but then it makes you be like, well, what was the point of that whole thing? You know,
then
you're feeling all the grief, and then
it also doubles down on the grief too. But he knew, like, Harry reached out for the locket, and he said he knew as he picked it up that there was something wrong.
Yeah, as someone who works in a grief center, when I read these books now, I'm like, how much trauma and grief can one person take? Like, dang, Harry's been through a lot. But then I have to remember that they're in a war, and during war times, even in our history, people experience a lot of trauma and still manage to continue living lives. Impacted by it for sure, but that's a lot. Oh, and then at the very end, Dumbledore had weakened himself by drinking that terrible potion for nothing. Harry crumpled the parchment in his hand, and his eyes burned with tears as behind him, Fang began to howl. Chapter 29, The Phoenix Lament.
I almost wish they called it the Phoenix Song.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what lament means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Short for lamentations. Listeners, Bible fans out there. But, yeah.
I feel like Harry's just going through the motions. And I feel like so is everybody, you know, just going through, and even the reader is just kind of going through the motions in this chapter, trying to come to terms with what happened, feeling like everything's surreal, not really knowing what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like even for Harry, like faces swam on the edges of Harry's vision. People were peering at him, whispering, wondering. And he's just kind of like not with it. Oh, and then Bill got attacked. And then everyone was like, well, is Fleur really still going to marry him? And she's super offended.
Yeah, they kind of like unite again, but it's just like, it's so hard in this situation.
Well, and I think the entire Wizarding world kind of grieves the loss of Dumbledore. You know, we see all the people that knew him really well, but he had an impact for sure.
This is very much an exposition heavy chapter, which is why I understand that they got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they all try to blame themselves. I just think
Right.
this stuff is like so crucial. Every Harry Potter book has some chapter like this or some section of a chapter like this, even Sorcerer's Stone, that it's hard to make it work without it.
Right.
And they just cut out the entire battle, basically, and all the good guy characters in favor of just ending the movie.
Yeah, everyone talks about where they were when the battle was happening and what happened.
So much, just too much information. But the part that I like to mention too is that after Fleur reveals she's gonna stay with Bill, Tonks just loses it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like, she's okay with it.
Yeah, but I mean, did you guys already highlight the Fleur scene, or is that
she mentioned Fleur, but we didn't. No,
we didn't go deep into it.
I'm gonna go deep into it because this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire book, because like everyone's annoyed with Fleur, like they're tired of her, they think she's annoying, she's pretentious, this and that, but ultimately, the love that she has for Bill resonates with everybody. Like it is that final indicator that she's for real.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of the only real things about her is her love for Bill.
Fair.
And there's not too many times where I like it when Molly, gets corrected or, she gets owned, but she does get owned in this moment by Fleur. It's like, nope, I'm standing by him. I love him. I'm going to marry him.
I'm good enough for. I'm good looking enough for the both of us.
That was funny.
Great line.
Really good.
A great line.
And she just shoves Miss Weasley out of the way to put the ointment on his face. And then she offers a tiara, and Fleur says, "Thank you," said Fleur stiffly. "I am sure that will be lovely."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's Tonks and Lupin for me always.
Mm-hmm.
That's that really, even more than Fleur and Bill.
Yeah.
And the meaning of Tonks's Patronus and her mouse-colored hair, and the reason she had come running to find Dumbledore when she had heard a rumor someone had been attacked by Greyback, all suddenly became clear to Harry. It had not been Sirius that Tonks had fallen in love with after all. Which, yeah, they're cousins.
Yeah, still would have been weird.
Come on, JK. Don't do this. Hey, Mrs. Weasley. Gosh.
I know. But she wants you. After all, Remus, Young, and Holman do not necessarily remain so.
He gestured sadly at his son. Professor McGonagall, of all people, saying Dumbledore would have been happier than anybody to think there was a little more love in the world. Said Professor McGonagall curtly.
I know.
Can't say anything with any emotion at all. She's still serious as ever. Oh, I love her for it. Oh, Hagrid moved him. Flitwick's lying down, but he said he'll be all right in a jiffy.
And then McGonagall's trying to get Harry to tell her what Professor Dumbledore and he were up to. And then she got upset with him because he was like, he didn't want me to tell anyone.
Oh, yeah.
She's just kind of like, but...
Oh, BT dubs. Madame Rosmerta's under the Imperious curse.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's much else from this chapter.
No.
Bunch of people crying.
Yeah.
Phoenix song.
Well then... Oh. The last part of that chapter, and he knew, without knowing how he knew it, that the Phoenix had gone, had left Hogwarts for good, just as Dumbledore had left the school, had left the world, had left Harry.
Just dropping bomb after bomb after bomb.
I'm like, how can you not sob during this whole thing? Chapter 30, The White Tomb.
It's one of my favorite chapters in Harry Potter. It's
yeah, absolutely.
Every word of it's so well written, and it's just a heartbreaker too, though.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing way to end the book. It might be the best ending chapter, actually.
Yeah.
In all of the series.
What is your favorite part about it, Spencer?
There's just so many things. I think that just the hundreds of wizards coming out for the entire thing. They discuss all of the Ron and Hermione and Harry have some sections talking about what they're gonna do, and and Hermione's like, I figured out the Half-Blood Prince bit, by the way. It's like, come on, guys.
And when then Harry broke up with Ginny, she said...
Yes. So that's the part that...
She said it's for some stupid, noble reason, isn't it?
But the way that it happens, though, is like, it's so good.
I know.
It highlights like what this all led to, and you like the way that I view it, like, to make a Friends reference, and I don't watch Friends very often, but you know, they were on a break. This is them going on a break.
And Ginny's just so cool. Like, she knows exactly why. She almost expected Harry to do it. She knows why he's doing it. I think she almost respects why he's doing it, too. And, you know, she's like, I never really gave up on you, not really. And she's willing to wait. She knows that she loves him, and she's willing to wait for him.
This is such an insane list of people. Like, so a member of the Weird Sisters, Ernie Prang, the driver of the night bus, Madam Malkin, the barman of the Hogshead, we still don't know is Aberforth. I love this, just little rich details, like the castle ghosts were there too, barely visible in the bright sunlight, discernible only when they move, shimmering insubstantially in the gleaming air. Just like, who writes like that? So good.
It's great.
I feel like she must have spent months on this chapter. But Ginny and Harry breaking.
What a way to break up with someone at a funeral.
Fair point, honestly. But I like how she talks about how Hermione tells her, hey, get more comfortable with him and all these things. And that's like what helped her and Harry kind of work it out.
Yeah.
Harry actually loses it again about Dumbledore. Oh, and the mermaids come out, and the centaurs send the volley of arrows. But yeah, and then without warning, it swept over him, the dreadful truth, more completely and undeniably than it had until now. Dumbledore was dead, everything. Gone. Oh, Scrimgeour's the worst, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I lagged,
it's okay.
And so I didn't know.
It's
you had
Wi-Fi.
paused, and I didn't know that you kept going.
It's the Wi-Fi, man. It's okay.
Also, every time I read Percy in this, it makes me think of Percy Jackson rather than Percy. As in the brother Percy. Takes me a minute to recenter. And then,
yeah, but I think that's all there is to this chapter, really.
Yeah. I say, do we know what Harry did? I don't remember if the next book talks about it, what he did over the summer between this book and the Deathly Hallows.
Well, he goes back to his aunt and uncle's house.
Well, yes.
His protection.
Right, but like, what do you do for that summer? Like, how do you go home back to your aunt and uncle's house after everything that just happened and just wait, knowing that there's a war coming?
I think it explains that he just kind of spends a bunch of time to himself trying to process his grief, and like he does some reading about and try to prepare for the journey. But yeah, I mean the movie does this too, but Harry finally admits that he's not going to go back to Hogwarts.
Yeah,
I'm going back to the Dursleys once more because Dumbledore wanted me to. And there's a long silence. We'll be there, Harry, said Ron. I ran to Uncle's house, and then we'll go with you wherever you're going. You said to us once before, said Hermione quietly, that there was time to turn back if we wanted to. We've had time, haven't we? But yeah, his hand closed automatically around the fake Horcrux, but in spite of everything, in spite of the dark and twisting path he saw stretching ahead for himself, in spite of the final meeting with Voldemort he knew must come, whether in a month, in a year, or in 10, he felt his heart lift at the thought that there was still one last golden day of peace left to enjoy with Ron and Hermione. What a way. I mean, it's just such a good, it's the best way to end. It's the best ending to a book. And it sets up the finale in an incredible way without going into detail about what the finale is going to be. It's really, really good. And I mean, you know, there's only one book left. Like even people reading when it came out kind of knew there was only one left. But it's like, I don't know. I don't understand the hate. I don't. I'm like, how can you read that last chapter and that whole last third of the book and not just be leaning back going, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
well, guys,
I don't get it either at all.
No. Well, that leads me to rankings, guys. Where are we sitting so far? We've only got one book left.
Dumbledore needs to be honored, guys.
Okay, well, I can go first. I can put my list out there. I know you guys will probably have an issue with like the bottom two, but I have at number 1 the Half-Blood Prince, number 2 the Prisoner of Azkaban, number 3 the Order of the Phoenix, 4 the Sorcerer's Stone, number 5 the Goblet of Fire, and then that number 6 is the Chamber of Secrets.
Wow. That is like I have had a very similar list at one point or another in time. Did you start at the top? I think my top is Half-Blood Prince, then Prisoner of Azkaban. But I think Prisoner of Azkaban might win depending on the category you're looking at, what the best is.
Because there's a lot of great stuff in that one too.
This one's more of a heartbreaker. If you're looking for more of fun Harry Potter, but still got a lot of action and darkness and stuff, then it's Prisoner of Azkaban.
Secrets, yeah.
Yes, Half-Blood Prince, Prisoner of Azkaban. I think my third place is maybe I think it's Goblet of Fire. Then Chamber of Secrets, then Sorcerer's Stone, and then Order of the Phoenix is dipped to the bottom. Like Sorcerer's Stone I don't have any thoughts for or against it at this point. It's just in the mix. But I loved Goblet of Fire, and I didn't like Order of the Phoenix, and Chamber of Secrets went up. I always knew this one was going to be at the top.
Yeah. Because it's mind-boggling that people don't have this at the top.
People have this
at the
bottom?
It's got everything.
Mad.
Yeah, it's got everything. I don't get it. What's wrong with you?
All right, Cole and Abby, time for this stupid difficult task because now it's ranking 6 of them.
I know. Cole?
Well, obviously, we're going to have to go with, for me, Prisoner of Azkaban is first.
Honorable choice.
Yeah, respect.
I really enjoy Goblet of Fire next. And then Sorcerer's Stone. Then this.
Wow.
And then Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, wow.
And then at the bottom is Order of the Phoenix.
I actually appreciate really appreciate that list, Cole. It's also very much you. The parts that you like of things are different than ours. Like you didn't like
what we like.
There was a lot of this book that you didn't like.
Yeah,
so that totally makes sense. And then of course you would have Goblet of Fire up there. and then
I love how high the
and then I've converted
is.
Cole. And I like to think that I've
influenced
Cole on the Order of the Phoenix bottom of the list train. So, Abby.
It's just because Harry's so freaking whiny.
Yeah.
So, I think...
He's 15, guys.
I think I'm feeling solid right now in my list. It's once you go to add in the Deathly Hallows that I get really confused and it gets complicated.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
I think there's such a thing as Deathly Hallows bias, but we'll talk about it.
Sure. And maybe I just need to reread it. And maybe I like parts of the book better than others.
I think people like it because it's the end and a lot of things happen, but I don't know how good it is. but we'll get to it.
Yeah. Right now, I have The Prisoner of Azkaban at the top. Then I have Sorcerer's Stone. Then Half-Blood Prince. Then Order of the Phoenix, Goblet of Fire, and then Chamber of Secrets.
So, Abby, our lists are very, very similar.
So 3, 1, 6, 5, 4, 2.
Sorcerer's Stone is high. Yeah, I love that.
I think I'm also just a fan of like intros into new worlds, and Harry Potter did I feel like a great job of introducing you into the world, like the Wizarding World, and so I'm a fan of the new magical like feeling that you get every time you read the book. It's very nostalgic for me. So
that tracks for Abby because we both love the High Republic era in Star Wars because it's a completely brand new time in the galaxy, and so there's world building, there's characters, there's a new form of government. The Jedi Order is in a different place at this time than in any other time in history, and so it really tracks with Abby that Sorcerer's Stone is so high. I love the Sorcerer's Stone too because it's the one that started it all.
I think I always, when I get to the last, like when I get to 5, 4, and 2, they switch places sometimes.
I think Goblet of Fire is, if I had to venture a guess, we don't have data on this, but I think Goblet of Fire is probably the bottom for the most fans. And I think that's unnecessary.
I think for me, the reason why it was so low for me is only because there was almost too much going on in the story itself that it was really like just overwhelming for me to read, and like so much that I had to like pace myself while reading it because there was so much going on. And the Order of the Phoenix was a little bit more, it was very easy for me just to continue to read because I felt like the story was going pretty well in terms of pacing. That was my only reason. That's the only reason why the Goblet of Fire is so low on my list, is because it was just an overwhelming read.
Order of the Phoenix is so low because it's too long and it's too frustrating. and Cole's argument about Harry. I feel like Half-Blood Prince does the best of both worlds, where it has a lot going on, it balances it well, it's not too long, and it paces pretty well too. That being said, those last 5 chapters hurt your head.
Oh yeah,
they're a whirlwind. But yeah,
man, guys, we've got one book left, and I'm so excited.
I know.
To get into it.
One book left, and then we got the movies.
I was going to ask, good segue. What's next for the podcast, friends? We've got. Are we doing anything in between this book?
We're going to have to take a break. Oh, yeah, I don't. Well, sorry. I mean, I think next on the podcast is just Deathly Hallows, but we'll probably take a break between Deathly Hallows and the movie rewatch.
Oh, well, yeah, probably. I think we should
let's run it back. Yeah.
Throw in some creative episodes.
100%.
Sure. Well, do you guys have anything else to add?
Dumbledore's dead.
No.
On my birthday.
Isabel Happy birthday.
Isabel, I was talking to Isabel.
It's got to be the worst birthday
I was
for
reading,
Spencer ever.
I was reading, and she was like, talking to me, and I said, yeah. And she's like, is everything okay? What happened? And I said, Dumbledore died.
Dumbledore
died.
Again.
On my birthday.
Again. Dumbledore died again.
Oh, gosh. Well, listeners, thanks for writing this journey along with us, because it's been a long one. But keep listening in, whether it's on Spotify or Apple, or you're watching on YouTube, in case you just want to see our lovely faces as we go.
Leave a review.
Crange's butt as he comes across the screen every now and then.
All day.
Yeah.
David's Christmas tree.
Yeah, why is that still up? Okay, no judgment though, because I just took mine down a few weeks ago, so that's fine. Yeah, he outed you on the podcast.
Listen, the decorations aren't on there anymore, so it's just a tree, okay, that I can decorate however I want. You can judge me. Really, it's just me being too lazy to put it back into a box and get it out 8 months later. Okay.
Honestly, the worst part is putting it in the box.
Yeah. Ours is in a closet. It's not even in a box.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, no, we have a box that we put it into, and then we put it up in the attic.
Yeah.
So, I have no idea where mine is.
I don't feel like doing it. It's been too cold.
Well, happy birthday, Spencer. Merry Christmas, David. Listeners, thanks again. I'm sorry we're all, I don't know about you guys, a little scatterbrained time of the year, but we finished the Half-Blood Prince. I guess for David, for Spencer, for Cole, and myself, David's throwing a diva fit in the corner. Anyways, for all of you out there, thank you for listening. And Mischief managed.
Sadness managed.
Sadness not managed.
Yeah, that's the